What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Joel Friday TV podcast. I am Joel Friday. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. Amazing stuff. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. Smack it. Lay the smack down on the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we can get the subscribers up and a message out. We got to do it. What's up, chat? How you doing, chat? Amazing Asia, shout out, Amazing Asia. I'm actually going to get to your super chat right when we start out the show because you had a very interesting comment about your current situation, and I definitely are going to get to that first. I'm going to get to the buy me a coffees and super chats, the very first thing we do of this show, and it's actually gonna tie into the message today. Okay, so Amazing Asia, make sure you're listening up, and to some of the other super chatters who sent a super chat. I'm gonna read your super chats right off the bat. Really quick, topics to be covered. Last Thursday, we talked about how to fall back in love or in love with your spouse and how to stay there. And the main message was, if you break up or you have to fall back in love or divorce, you were never in love, right? If you really had love, you wouldn't have to fall back into it. And if you're falling back into it, it's not love. It's this emotional feeling, these emotions that change and go left and right, right? Real love doesn't change. Real love is constant. Right, and the more you grow in that real love, that the more interest, actually. So, if you didn't catch that, you can podcast that one later, or watch it later. Episode 57, how to fall back in love with your spouse. It was deep, and some deep calls as well. And I love hearing from the ladies and the guys on the subject. And I love having a conversation because it makes me think even more, right? Today, we're talking about the delusion of feelings. The delusion of feelings. Boy, we getting into it. Because feelings are delusional. And I have you delusional and not even know it. And I have some examples to prove and some, I just be dealing with it too. You know what I mean? Having to watch those feelings and understand that they're not love, right? And it's a complicated thing. It's really not complicated, right? But it becomes a complicated thing as you're trying to understand that. So we're going to get into that. You can call in 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773. And we could talk about the topic at hand or any topic, past shows, any questions or comments you may have. You can call in and we can talk about it live on air. If you cannot call in or you have a question or comment, you can super chat by going to the buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, and you could donate also as well and support the show, while also sending in your question or comments, and I will read them live on air. I want to make sure that I get to these super chats today as priority because not only do I appreciate you guys' support for the show, but also the messages and questions or comments that you guys are having could definitely add to the topics at hand or add to the message. And a lot of the times they're pretty deep. Well, sometimes they're pretty deep. So you can donate via Super Chat directly on YouTube here by hitting the Super Chat button in the live chat, or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, and I will read those live on air and we'll get into it. Amazing stuff. And you can find me on audio podcasts on all the audio platforms if you do not want to watch past shows. They are not live, but you can watch past shows audio only if you prefer audio. Apple Podcast and Spotify and all that stuff. Nice. So let me get to these super chats here. So first things first. Shout out to Sean's dad, John, for making this amazing mic-styled Joel mic that says Joel on it. That's so cool. Shout out, John. Amazing stuff. That's like super cool and thoughtful. So thank you, John. I appreciate it. I don't know if he's watching, but I'm sure Sean will let him know that, yeah, that's super cool. I've never met him, but that's cool that he would go out of his way and do that. So thank you, John. Okay, so let's go to Super Chats. Olga Plotnikova.
Super Chat.
Super Chats.
Maybe I shouldn't have doxed it. Oops. Olga is actually a good friend. And she, we have conversations. I wouldn't say that often, but we have conversations, and she always has some deep things to talk about, and or some deep questions. And she's a lady, and yeah, I could tell she's always thinking, and she's always like trying to understand things, and she's also just a nice person. So Olga sent a donation, a few donuts. Actually, she got a few donuts, and I appreciate it, Olga, and I appreciate the convos as well. So thank you, Olga. Lamps buys a couple donuts, a few donuts. Thank you, Lamps. I appreciate it. No message. Amazing Asia. So Amazing Asia sent a donation, I think it was last week, and it was the perfect timing when she sent it on the show, but I didn't get to read it on the show. I wish I did, but I didn't. So let me go to this real quick. Amazing Asia says, "Hey, Joel, I don't want to lose the love between me and my husband. However, every time I try to suggest something to do, he rejects it and says I'm trying to control him. I always watch what he wants to watch, but he doesn't want to watch The Color Purple with me. He's always saying lines from the movie, but he's never seen it, like, you told Harpo to beat me. And all my life I had to fight. I think it would be great to watch it together as adults with our new eyes," meaning like us waking up, but he isn't budging. How can he see that I'm not trying to control him? I just want to watch the movie with him. That's a very great question. Because in my best advice, in my opinion, Amazing Asia, if you're watching, I hope you are, is that be patient with your husband's process of waking up. Because I went through the same thing, to where, like, as you know, you're listening to Jesse and you're waking up and you're trying to really grow into being a man or becoming a man, you have this overzealous to be a man, right? And that overzealous to be a man has you trying to be a man on an extreme level, and like you become very kind of rigid. right? And the intention is not to harm or hurt or to be mean or anything. It's just trying to make sense of it, but also overcome, right? So what it seems like is that he's just caught up a little bit in that excitement of being a man, and anything that seems weak or seems like it threatens his manhood, he's like cursing it out of just like this overzealousness. And it's kind of almost like a natural process of just understanding what it really means to be a man, right? Growing into it. So I wouldn't judge him for it. I would just understand, come from a place of understanding that he's just growing in this process. And yeah, and then maybe eventually he'll see that watching a movie is not a big deal. It doesn't make him less of a man if he watches a movie with his wife, and say you want to watch some movie about, I don't know, romance, then there's nothing wrong with watching a movie. Or it'll make you less of a man if you watch a movie about romance, right? But in the midst of that growth, it feels like, I don't want to keep those away from me. So it just sounds like that's what's happening. But don't judge him for it, and just understand that he's just in that whole thing at the moment. I hope that makes sense. But thank you for the donuts. I appreciate it. I hope that answers the question. And you can call in Amazing Asia as well if you have any further questions, or, Birdie Bound B says, so far we've got gentle, we got nice, and weak. Law, what's next? Don't forget vulnerable. Oh, we're going to get into that today. We're getting into that today. That kind of stuff. Gregatron says, hey, Joel, what do you think about rap/R&B culture and relationships? We've been trained to worship/simp over women from a young age. Usher, R. Kelly, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, B2K, 112, Neo, Pretty Ricky, Akon, T-Pain, Lloyd Banks, Joe Budden, Fabulous, Bobby V, etc., etc., etc. I still like music, but I can see it's beta. Will you do an episode on perception by the music industry? Thanks. Interesting. I don't know if I'll do a full episode on it, but I'll comment on it right now, is that, the reason why music is so catered to women is because the people who are making the music, there's two things. It's intentional and it's unintentional. So as far as the music industry goes, the music industry is catered, it caters to, it like knows the very art of catering to the consumer, which is oftentimes women in a higher case when it comes to R&B and stuff like that. And some of those artists, Usher, there's a science behind these producers, these artists, these A&Rs, these management, the whole label. There's a science behind how they know how to speak to the consumer and get to the consumer, especially the women. And because they know that the women are going to listen, the women are going to come to the concerts, the women are going to drool over the men, they know how it's going to do. They know the whole game. So they amplify everything to satisfy the woman's needs. So that's one thing, right? The second thing is that men are subject, most men are subject to women. Even if we don't know it, we're subject to women in the sense of we want something from them. Our feelings are attached to them because we want something from them. And it's sex, right? And even if that want doesn't reveal itself in the form of actual sex, right? Even if it's just like companionship or family or children, like it all comes down to the same thing, right? But doesn't mean those things aren't good things to want. family, children, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what's attracting us to the women is one thing, right? And men just oftentimes are just subject to men. Now, the beauty about waking up, the beauty about being aware of yourself is that you're able to watch that and not be subject to it. And that's the beauty, right? You'll still be able to, say if you want to get married and have a family and all that stuff, you'll still be able to deal with it, even though you're going to be feeling those things, right? But you're able to deal with it and move properly because you're not, when you're aware of it, you're not giving into it. You're not lost in it, in the delusion of feelings, right? And it's not like consuming you and having you act out of character, not recognizing that it's not love, it's just feelings, right? You're able to be aware of it and separate yourself from it so you don't go with like its desires, right? And you don't act upon it. That's the beauty about waking up and still getting married and all that stuff. So the purpose of waking up and is being able to see that you're not these things that we think that we are. This like ego that we believe is us is not us. And when you see it, you have that separation, but it doesn't mean that right away you're going to overcome it and you're going to feel whole right away or feel like you're not going to feel these feelings, right? And also doesn't mean sometimes you're not going to go with them. But it means that you're understanding them now because the light within you is shining on it, right? Revealing the truth about it. So it's helping you understand it more and avoid it more, right? That's the beauty about it. But when it comes to the industry, this is not like something that just happened on accident and like, oh, if they just realize they're subject to women, they'll overcome. No, like their whole career is based off of being subject to women because that's what sells. That's what makes the money. And the artists know that, but I don't think they know the depths of it. But they know that, and they're okay with being subject to women and, using women up and do all this stuff because it pays their bills. It gives them the attention they want. It keeps them in the public eye. So they're okay with it. And even though they at times feel like, man, I'm overdoing it here and I'm using these women and I'm like, I'm exploiting this. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to change because that's what's paying the bills and that's what's giving them the dream life that they've always wanted. So they're just going to continue to be what they're going to be. But yeah, they do make great music. They make great music that we all know and love, but these people are going through hell in their personal lives. So yeah, it's definitely some crazy stuff. Yeah, so that's that. But you can call in 888-775-3773. There are some lines open. Let me finish up these super chats. Patty says she gave 5 donuts. Thank you, Patty. Wow. Glad to see you are back with JLP. I missed you while you were gone. I missed you, Patty. And I miss being here. So I'm glad to be back as well. And doing a full-time show. That's just crazy stuff. So thank you, Patty, for the donation. And thank you, Buy Me a Coffee donators, for the love on that. Super chat. Let me go to Carver 531s says patience, then surprise, tough love, keep them on the toes. And he's referring to last week, us talking about last week's subject about being patient with women and understanding of what they're dealing with, what they're going through, and being patient with them. And then at the right time, give them that tough love. And you should give tough love. Don't get it twisted. Because people been like cooking me. What you mean, gentle? What you mean, gentle? What you mean? Like, are you listening, though? Are you listening? Because I'm saying also you be tough, but also it's a time to be gentle. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. That's fine. But I just believe that. And I could be wrong. But I also believe in being tough when you need to be tough. Because people need that. Not just women, men. All people need that. That tough love. And women yearn for that. But they also want to be respected, though. Don't get that twisted either. Tough love. You know what I mean? Tough love doesn't mean tough love is also respect. I had to learn that the hard way too, though. And that's what I was saying to Amazing Asia is like be patient with your husband because he may be going through different things, just trying to understand it, and he may cross the line a little bit here and there or go overboard. And it's not intentional. In his heart, he means well. He's trying to be a man. He's trying to wake up, right? But he may more than likely cross the line a little bit. But that's why we got to have good people around us who understand the intent, understand the heart. So that way they don't take things personal while someone's just in the process of growing up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, them feelings, though. Them feelings is so dangerous. And what I'm realizing more and more, because, I date. I don't go out my way to date, but I date. And those feelings want to come up often. And sometimes they do, and sometimes I'm in them. But I learn so much while I pay attention, or when I catch them, for one. But when I don't catch them, I still learn, right? And I'm realizing that feelings are just pure hate. Pure hate. And they feel so good in the moment, right? They feel like love in the moment. They feel like admiration. They feel like, I don't know. They just feel like there's something. But they're pure hate. And get to know yourself so you can see this for yourself, right? But it's pure hate. And because it's deception, and if you really think about it, they never have to do with the other person. It's a setup to make it seem like it's like these feelings are for them. But it's not. They're for you. They're for you. And that's why it's hate, because you're imposing your wants and needs on them. And it ain't got nothing to do with them. It's pure hate. And feelings also give you like ideas and plans. You ever realize that? Feelings give you like plans and ideas for the future. And I'll give you an example. And what it does is it blinds you from the moment, right? So feelings will be like, you know what? Man, I really appreciate her. Or I appreciate him. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go show up to their work, and I'm gonna surprise them, and I'm gonna let them know I love them in front of everybody, right? This is a dramatic example, I know. But I'm gonna surprise them. I'm gonna let them know that I love them, right? I'm gonna do that next week. And you have this plan in your head about the future, like, yeah, I'm gonna do that because she just deserves it, and I'm gonna just show him. Next week comes around, and you still have this plan, and you go to the job, and you do it, and something feels kind of off, right? Because it's not the time to do it, and it doesn't make sense to do it, right? But you still have this thing, no, like I gotta let her know. And then you let them know, and it's like awkward. It didn't have that effect that you thought it was gonna have, right? And she's like, oh, thank you, cool, I gotta get back to work though. And she didn't take it how you wanted her to take it, right? Or whatever. And that's because the moment.
Could you try again?
What?
By the way, if you have another request.
Siri. I'm not talking to you. Sorry, y'all. What was I saying? Oh, the moment. The moment didn't call for that, right? But we already planned for the future, so we followed through with those plans, and it was forced and uncomfortable and weird. You know what I mean? That's because feelings always has you in the future. And it blinds you from the moment. And if we stay in the moment, we would realize, like, even if we made those plans unconsciously, right? In the moment, we would realize, like, wow, this is going to be weird. If I say this right now, you know how you notice in a moment when and when not to say certain things? So you're like, okay, I won't say that right now. And you just keep your mouth shut because you know if you say it, it's just going to be a weird vibe. That's the same thing. Because the moment guides us in all things. If you really pay attention, that's why God says to have faith and don't worry about anything and let the moment guide us, which God is in the moment, because the moment will tell you what and what not to do in the moment. You know, those times where you want to say something, you're like, man, next time she talks back to me, I'm going to tell her this, right? And then you just like plan what you're going to say every time, right? You're about to plan what you're about to say to that person. And then when it actually happens and you say it, then it's all messed up. It's all jacked up, right? And now you look crazy. Or you don't say it and now you're feeling all this conflict, like, oh, I'm weak. I didn't speak up. But no, just maybe in the moment you realized you understood it's not the time. You just got to trust the moment. Let the moment guide you. Right? Because feelings will have you delusional. Lost in the lies and the trap. And believe me, I know. But I'm way more aware. I'm just way more aware about it now. And sometimes I just want to just like, let's just see what happens. And it's okay to just go with it and find out too. Don't like make it such a big deal to where you're like, I'm so wrong if I do it. Like, if you're trying to understand and you don't quite yet, go through it. Experience it, right? But from my experience, it just has been messy. So that's what I'm learning. Let's see what the chat is talking about. What you guys talking about in the chat here? What about Esoteric says, what about every shot you don't take is a miss? I don't believe that. Every shot you don't take is a miss. Well, I'll say it like this. Is that if you see to act, you will act. But if you have doubt, that means you don't really see to do it. So then let it go, right? But that's what I'm saying. If you're not seeking or chasing anything, if you're not chasing things, you won't miss them. We only think we're going to miss them because we're chasing and we're worried about missing. So you won't miss a shot if you see you need to take it. Ask Steph Curry, that is. That sounds tough, Joel. What sounds tough? Ask Siri, does she love you, Joel? Okay, let's ask her. Siri, do you love Joel? Look, she had no words. That's not a good sign. Siri, do you love me? Why would you talk now? You're doing all that talking before when I ask. She won't talk now. Bye, Siri. Now she want to be quiet. Just like a woman. No, I'm playing. Let me see. Focus on. CQ says, you know, Joelle pulled that move, like surprising a girl at her work. I've had many thoughts about that. Trust me. Like, man, this would be so sweet. And I didn't follow through. And maybe there's a time where I have. I can't think of it right now. But oftentimes I do, like, I don't know about oftentimes, but those have happened where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And then when the moment comes, I see in that moment that, like, dang, this would be, if I do this now, it's just awkward. It's weird. And I just had to throw it away. But there's times where I was like, you know, I'm going to let this person know this or that. I'm going to express to them what I'm, like, because you'll realize something, right? You'll realize something and you're like, man, I'm going to go tell that person that. And when it's time to tell them, you can't. That's because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to let it happen when it happens. But that has definitely come up a lot. Went on a date. I can't see that. That negative mean he buys. Fantasies. Alex Watts said fantasies. Yes, it's all fantasy. Joel just texted me in the car. CQ said feelings had me messed up. I'm telling you, feelings are a mess. Just think about feelings. Feelings are a mess. They're just sticky, right? So it's hard to let life happen with feelings because they latch on to everything. If you're feeling excited, everything is exciting. Every thought that comes in your head and you're in this excitement moment, everything is exciting. So all the exciting things pop up and it's hard to let them go. And they drain your energy. But they feel good, get you through the day. So that's why we don't deny them like we should. Laughing out loud, you forget to say, hey, Siri. Oh, did I forget to say, hey, Siri? Well, she stopped listening to me. Anyway. 888-775-3773. There are some lines open. You can't call in. It's just a mess. God said, have faith and do not doubt. And he also said, even faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains, right? And what that is just being in the present at all times, letting go. You're not going to miss an opportunity. You're not going to miss out on what is yours. You're not going to be lazy. You're not going to do anything because you're trusting the moment. And it's weird because the moment seems empty and nothingness, right? It seems like, well, where's the answer? I'm here. Where's the answer? But then that's not faith, right? Trusting the process. And in the moment, you're guided by all things. You're just led, and you know when and not to speak. And one of the best thing that I've probably ever learned is recognizing, and I'm still learning in it, but recognizing the difference between the two, between the ego and the spirit, right? God's voice, the voice's voice within, recognizing it and recognizing when it's a feeling, right? I'm still learning, I'm still growing in it, but over time I've come more and more confident in noticing the difference. So it allows me to, it's just guiding me. It's guiding me. And it allows me to stand on the things that I believe, right? It allows me to stand on the things that I believe because it's what I see. And of course we can always be wrong, right? It's not always perfect, right? But it's the same thing that it's the same thing that drives Jesse to speak on the things he sees, right? That he sees to be true. And we're all just trying to decipher the two, right? And the more you allow yourself to just live and go through things, the more you just recognize it. Because you know what the trick is? You know what the trick is? The trick is always asking for advice, always reading the Bible, always looking for the answer outwardly, right? Because when we do that, we're just riding on the back of these things, the words. But we're not really knowing it. We're not really grounded in it. We're just riding on the wings of it, right? Because it gets the job done, right? It helps us get past these things. But if you just let your cup stay empty and get out in the world and be in the world and experience these things and make your own decisions. This is the greatest thing that I ever learned, is making my own decisions, right or wrong, making decisions, getting out in the world and making decisions. Because then you start to learn about the voiceless voice that guides us in all things, the intuition, right? You start to recognize it more because you're relying on your own decisions, meaning looking at yourself within, watching yourself within, and making those decisions, right? Doing things, whether it's right or wrong, and then learning from them afterwards. Be like, oh, okay, I thought I should do that. And it seemed like that was the right thing to do. And then when I did it, it was the right thing to do. Then you realize oh, okay, I just got to go with my gut a little bit. And the more you do it, the more it starts to get clearer and clearer. Oh, that was that. That was that. And it's the same thing with the ego. Then you go with the ego, right? And you fall into the ego and you keep your eyes on yourself. And when you do that, you look back and say oh, okay, you reflect at the end of the day, right? You reflect at the end of the day, be like, oh, how did that happen? Why did I get into that thing? And then you realize you went with the feelings of the ego. Then you say, okay, that's what that feels like. That's what that is. And you can only do that by getting out in the world and living life, just going through life and just experiencing life and trying to come to your own conclusion, your own decisions, not Joel's decision, not your parents' decision, not Jesse's decision, not all these things, not all this information all the time, right? Not bad to have it, but not all the time, right? Make your own decision, learn from your own experience. So that way you can start figuring out how to know for yourself. But you have to keep your eyes on yourself at all times. So, anyway. Put myself to the end of the time. I don't know. Egocentric role play of the most justified. Don't watch Kevin House says don't watch Joel's hands. What'd I do? Oh, a lot of you guys talk about my hand movements too. I can only do so much while I'm sitting down. What do you want me to do? I can only do so much. Am I making sense though, you guys? That's the real question. I'm making sense to me, but is it coming out right? Is it coming out clear? Soul patch. Now go. I feel like I'm just. Hold on. Anyway. Lines are open, guys. You can call in 888-775-3773. Let me see if I have any super chats here. Super chats. Kale Samagi says, Joel was saying a fool who persists in their folly becomes wise. I kind of agree. Because you're only going to hit the bottom. And then you see that foolishness doesn't serve anybody. Sometimes it be like that. Joel crying. Chatter's gone. Shout out. We making out the hood with. We making it. Gerald says we making out the hood with Joel. What the? Yeah, I get it, Joel. What about Muslims? Can they dance? What? Muslims dance. Joel Thursday in the hizzy. Eccentric says, you making some sense, Joel. We feel is correct. That's funny. Let me check buy me a coffee real quick. Amazing Asia says, I don't think he's trying to overdo it because he's finding the truth. I don't think he's trying to overdo it because he's finding the truth. I think he's using what Jesse is saying in an intellectual way as to not do things that I want to do, because every time I suggest things that he doesn't want to do, he says, every time you listen to a woman, you suffer. That's exactly what I was saying. I'll try to call him tomorrow on my day off. That's exactly my point. So maybe I wasn't making it clear, but that's exactly my point, is that he's been watching the Jesse and he's overcoming, right? It's a genuine pursuit to overcome, but he has this intellectual, excitement of becoming a man, right? So it is all intellectual. Not all of it, right? But it's intellectual. So he doesn't want to take these steps or do these things because he feels like he has a judgment about them being not manly, right? The wisdom that Jesse's given out about it hasn't hit the spirit yet, so he can't relax in it and just be, right? He can't just be yet. And that's okay. That's normal, right? He's just trying to understand it. That's what I'm saying, be patient, but that's exactly what I was saying, is that it's intellectual. And then as a man, already we're battling with trying to be viewed, right, as a man, even if it's in the wrong way. We want to be viewed as a man. So then when you like really hear some wisdom about it, then you're like, okay, I gotta really, and you're just judging yourself. So that's why you just gotta be patient with this process. I'm hearing some sound of, but yeah, call in tomorrow and we can talk about it if you want to, but yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Super chat, D. Jabril says, Joel, as a dancer, check out in free time how national check-in dance goes. Share the difficulty of it, if any. Peace and blessings all. Thanks for the super chat and the tip. It's called National Check Dance. I'll have to look into it. I've never heard of that. Like Czechoslovakian or whatever it's called. No idea. I'll have to look into it. All jokes aside, I do like how all the hosts are different. That's why I want to see. Amazing stuff. We're going to end here soon, but I just thought I'd chat with you guys for a little bit. Thanks for the super chat. Buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV if you have any more questions or comments. Amazing Asia, I hope you're still in there. I responded again to your super chat. Just be in the moment, y'all. Stay in the moment the best you can. Do a silent prayer. Silent prayer is the practice of being in the moment and letting those thoughts go, right? But it's really about letting the desire of feeling good go. The thrills. The feels of the thrills. We got to let those go. And then the thoughts won't even matter if we had no interest to feel good. So let me go to Gray. We got Gray is on the line out of Los Angeles. My friend Gray, how's it going, man? Welcome to the show. You're on there.
What's up, Joe? It's going good. How you doing?
Doing well.
All right. Hey, so the other day if I'm not mistaken, you were doing like life insurance or something before you came back to Bond, right?
Yeah, I used to do life insurance for a little bit.
Okay. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, the other day this guy asked, like I was just at a store and a guy came up to me, he's like, "Hey, are you looking for work?" And I was like, "Oh, not really. Well, what do you have?" And he's like, "Oh, we sell insurance, and you look like someone who knows what he's doing." And I don't know, he was trying to give me a sales pitch.
Yeah.
But he eventually invited me onto a Zoom meeting, and I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's funny because I got approached the same way. That's part of the process of how you get clients is cold approaches, and I got cold approach, and I was out cold approaching people as well. But to me, it's that it just depends. It's not a lot of people think that it's a scam. They think that insurance or any type of marketing job in that way, it's called there's a specific name for it. I can't think of it, but multi-level marketing, they think that is a scam, but it's not the system that's the scam, it's the agent, right? So it's definitely a doable thing, and you can make great money off it. For a little while I was making some good money, and I was still a trainee, meaning I wasn't independent. I was already making some pretty decent money. So if you're into that and you can do it in a genuine way, it's just like real estate as well. It's the same kind of thing. Is that if you could find a way to be a good salesman in the proper way, then I think that it's an actual, you can make it as a career. But it's not the life insurance gig itself that's the weird thing. It's people make it weird because people get greedy. ego gets involved. They try to sell you to make money for themselves. And yeah, Hassan says pyramid. Yeah, that pyramid. People don't like the pyramid. They think that it's the scam, but it's not. It's really not. It's really not. You just gotta be true to yourself.
Yeah, is that why you left? You felt like it was just you're going around in circles, or
I left because
why did you leave?
Yeah, I left because it just wasn't really my thing, and I realized that people, you know, when you give somebody life insurance, it's for 50 years, 50 or like 30, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? So by the time that their life insurance expires, they want the agent that they trust to give them another good deal. So if you're not, you know what I mean? Like if you're not, and you're not around anymore, and you knew all their like everything that they trusted you with, as far as like the plans they wanted to go with, why they went with those plans, the reason they did, and you're not around anymore. It's kind of like, okay, well, you know, I just did a disservice. So for me, I never thought of it long term. I never thought of it like this is my career. I want to do this. I was just trying to make some extra money. But
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I was starting to get better at it and making more money off it, I came to that crossroads.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was strange when that guy like came up to me, and I was like, man, like, is this an opportunity, or is this somebody trying to get over on me? Like, it's hard to make those decisions like at that moment. But it's crazy. Yeah. I was just calling it.
But that's good. That's good that you at least went on the Zoom to kind of see what it's about. What'd you think about it?
Well, you know, they wanted to start training. They're saying that, you know, and I had to think about it. And I was like, is this something? Like, I don't even care for this. Is this that's why I was in my head about it. I was like, is this an opportunity? Is this a guy trying to get over on me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of left it to be. And the guy was kind of, he messaged me, you know, he got back to me a couple times, but I just told him, you know what? I'm not, you know, at the moment, I'm not looking to commit to like life insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best thing if you don't know, just to leave it as is. So. Yeah.
So I left it as is.
Nice, man. Nice. So I appreciate it, Gray. I'm about to end the show here. Anything, any last comments?
You know what? Friday, I think Thursday I called and I had a question, but I didn't get in. But it was if you believed in soulmates. I think that would be a great subject to cover. So maybe in the future.
Do you believe in soulmates? Interesting. That might be love language part 5. I was talking to Sam. But yeah, man, definitely. I definitely look into it. I'll note that down, and if it makes sense, we'll get into it.
Yeah, touch on that, and I'll see if I come up with some stuff. I'll send it to you on Instagram. I have, you know, there's some topics I like to discuss, so
send them to me.
I'll send them to Instagram.
Right on, man. Appreciate it, Gray.
All right, bro, for sure.
All right. Nice. All right, I got to end. The American Anger Baby is coming in. As a matter of fact, he's in. He's like, you got to end. You got to go. I got to end. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'm back here tomorrow. And we'll get into some different stuff. Send me some topics. Message me some topics if you got some topics you'd like to talk about. You can super chat your questions or comments as well, or just send me a direct message. You know what I mean? You can do that as well. But thank you guys for the super chats, donations, all that's a question and comments. Appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, same brother. Until next time. Peace.